advice that you gave the players at halftime must have worked.
I didn't say a whole lot. Matter of fact, I think about the first 7 or 8 minutes, I didn't say anything. I just sat there. I have not a whole lot to say. You're going to let the little guard beat you in the middle of the floor. I don't know what you want me to do for you. I said one little simple flat ball screen, and you're backpedaling instead of playing it at him like we teach every day, and he's whipping you. There's a lot of other things, but, that was it. And then we were kind of sloppy with the ball because we could get the shots. Just like in the second half, we got them. We could have been getting the same things in the first half all the time. I thought we missed some rebounds and some things that were just, and we let them get feeling good because he got feeling good. I mean, at the half, he had 17. He ended up with 26. That can't happen. And then he got guys a couple threes because we had to help because we got beat so bad. And then everybody gets excited. There was not a lot of strategy session. They were having a hard handoff and a guy busting up from the sideline, and they were setting a flat ball screen in the middle. We knew that was coming, and that's what happened. The other end, like I said, they were going to pinch down defensively off the wings and corners. And, we knew what we wanted to do to try to break that down and get our shots, which, like I said, second half, we didn't have any problem getting them. But we had 40 at the half. We were sloppy. We missed 2 front end of the bonuses and 2 free throws at a time, and we left all kinds of points. So we had 40 points, and even being a little sloppy, we should add 45 plus for sure. 45 plus points for us in a half should be plenty for us to be just about have somebody beat. We just didn't guard anybody. Second half, I thought we were a little better defensively, and we held them to 34, and that's we subbed in some guys and had some bad turnovers. To give them some points at the end, and we probably could have held them under 30 in the second half. We didn't make any strategy changes. Just get up and guard the way we practice every day, which I still wasn't sure that we did, but we made a little bit better effort at it, and that's a tale of 2 halves.
Comment on Dayton Williams, career high 32 points. He was one off his 6th double-double. He also had 9 rebounds.
He was big in that fashion. He was big attacking. We try to run some actions and get him set up, where he ends up, and we have Jalen, or we think somebody hit a shot over in that left corner. We have different ways and actions and deals to get him where we can free him up on that left hand. And he can either score or be a facilitator. He did a pretty good job with it. And there was some early second half, there were some transition situations. He got loose and was able to tack right at him and go to the basket. But, it was big. But, again, I thought offensively, it wasn't our problem. We ended up with 102 points. But even in the first half when we had 40, it was just, you're going to miss some free throws and, a couple sloppy turnovers. And he still had 40. So, but he was a catalyst in putting the ball in the basket. We certainly needed him to do it. And obviously we were much better in the second half than the first.
The Vassar was held scoreless in the first half. I'd have to look back and see if that's happened at all this season, but his 14 points in the second half were big.
It has. It was very similar to Triton. It was very similar to Macomb. And, that's too many now. That's 3 of them. We've had 3 of those situations from him. He's got to come out, have his energy level better. He was better in the second half. And because of it, that was part of why we were better in the second half. But he's got to come out and get going. They had a little quickness and a little guard was attacking, but, he was too passive. And he was not – same thing on defense. He was backpedaling instead of getting up there and playing. And there's no easy way out. There's a reason why we stop people the way we stop people. And we didn't play like that in the first half. We weren't failing trying to do what we're supposed to do. We were failing doing what we're not supposed to do. And he did that. And he cannot afford to do that. So better second half, no question. And it was good. But, we can't have halves like that.
I felt like going into the game, they were vulnerable to the 3-point shot. They gave up 13 at Dyersburg State on Saturday. We ended up with 10, 4 by Alex Montez. Mm-hmm. I thought I had a great game off the bench with 19 points.
He did. He had a good second half because the ball went in. He hit some shots, and then he attacked the basket strong when they gave him an open lane. And that was very big for us. We looked over the top. They were going to pinch down, get a lot of help. So, we needed to hit some shots because we were going to – if we attacked correctly and solidly, we'd be able to get some good looks, either on the kick out to the strong kind quarter or some diagonal passing. And, second half we did a better job with it, and he did a better job of finishing, hitting shots.
Lorenzo picked it up with 11.7 rebounds. Nice to see him in a starting role come back and get strong inside. I mean, he got a lot of pounding in there. I mean, he had some 5 offensive rebounds, but every time he got that offensive rebound, he had bodies all over him.
Well, it's good to see him score some points. He got 10 in the second half. He still only had 1 at halftime this one. But he did get 10 in the second half, and that makes life a lot easier. We ran a few actions for him to get him free on some screens, to get those guys off of him that were hugging him. And, he was able to take advantage of a couple plays, and he got a couple where he went and got offensive rebounds, and he made some free throws. I don't know what he ended up from the free throw line. He was 5 for 8, which he missed
63%.
Which for him, that's good. And I think he missed his first 2, I believe. So he may have gone 5 for his last 6, which, that's kind of like Shaq going 5 for 6. But if he can make his free throws, it would really make his life a lot easier. Not only would he get the points when they foul him, but they're going to stop just fouling him. Now if you get down in there, somebody grabs him and says, well, worst case they call a foul, right? And he's not going to hit him. When they fear you at the line too, then you start getting some easier buckets inside. So it all works together, and hopefully that tonight was a start of him going in the right direction.
And Prince Ochugwu, did he solidify his starting role tonight?
It's never solid.
Never solid.
None of it's solid. It's how are you playing?
He played well.
He did some good things, and then he had some defensive breakdowns in the second half where he was staring at the ball or left his feet. It did not make me happy. That's got to be his specialty. He's got to be excellent on the defensive end of the floor. He's not going to be a great scorer. He's an opportunity scorer, and he's good at going to the offensive glass, and that's fine. But he's got to be a great defender. I mean, you got to bring something that's a big quality, and he has got to be great on that end of the floor, and he could be. And, we need him to be.
So you're going to be off this weekend. You're not happy about that? Would you rather play?
Sure, I'd rather play, but it's just part of the season. You don't really think about it or worry about it. You just do what you do. We're going to practice through Saturday, and we'll take Sunday off like we normally do, and we'll come back the next week. So, for us, our schedule won't change a whole lot. We just won't play Saturday, and we'll practice. We'll go through the same. This is a normal deal and try to get better. I'll try to reiterate how we're supposed to guard the ball. We go from the Columbia State game, where I thought we did a really good job, of trying to guard the ball properly. Now, I will say this, Columbia State's guards, they don't have a guard that breaks you down and scores quite like the little kid did tonight. But he was able to score the way he did tonight because we didn't defend him properly. If we'd have made the same effort guarding him tonight that we did the Columbia State guards, he might have got 10 or 12. He's a good little player. You'll make a play. But he would not have had, 17 in the first half. He wouldn't have got that run going, and then all of a sudden he's not only scoring, but he's facilitating because we got to help and things like that. It wouldn't have happened. So we got to go back and make sure these guys understand I'm not making a suggestion on how to play these things. At this point, I'd have figured it out, Dave. I would figure out that I was not suggesting a way to play. So I guess the next 3 days of practice will be a lot of trying to make sure that they understand it's a demand, not a suggestion.
Lakeland's 5-8. They're playing tonight. They'll play again Saturday, so you'll get a chance to really get a good look at them 2 times before we play. Again, they're only 5-8, but they're a team that worries me. I've watched them play. They can score a lot of points, and kind of a strange setup there with the rotunda of basketball in the Laker Fieldhouse. So it'll be a challenge on the road against Lakeland, I think, next Wednesday night.
Yeah, it always is. We're just taking them as each game comes. I mean, we worry about ourselves. Like tonight, we weren't taking nothing away from Shawnee, but the tale of this game was how we played. The difference in how we played the game in the first half or the second half. And it's just how it goes. Shawnee's got a nice little team. They're quick. They can attack you. They played hard. They're going to be excited about being in here. They started making shots when, we faltered. I didn't like the fact that when they made the run a little bit there, that we didn't grit our teeth and stop it. We kind of went along with it, which you can't be a big-time team and do that. You got to put your foot down, as soon as it starts and go, no, that ain't happening. And we gave a body language there at one point in time, like, that people give. It's like, this is just happening to me. Like there's some magic. There's nothing magic because you're not down the stance and stopping them. So we got to do that. But that's the things we worry about. I'm not worried about the opponent so much as I'm worried about us. If we play as well as we can, as hard as we can, we get beat, we get beat. So I'm never really worried about that. never really worried about losing. I worry about how we play, and that'll always be the case. So, and I feel confident that if we play right and practice right, that we got a pretty good chance of winning.
Coach, I'll catch up with you tomorrow as we tape Blazer Bulletin, but congratulations.